Hey there everyone, the event that's coming out tomorrow is the Darknights Memoir rerun, and I do hear from quite a bit of you that you guys are curious as to what are the things that you should know about this event, and also the opinions as to whether or not you should be pulling for the banner that is to come. So, let's cover about all of these details in today's video. Now, Darknights Memoir is a 2 weeks rerun event. This is starting from 7th of September, and it's this coming Tuesday. The operators that's featured on the headhunting banner will be Shamare, Phantom, and Cutter, along with a welfare operator returning as well, which is Sideroca. Sideroca can be collected via the event store using the event currency that you'll farm when playing the stages. 2 weeks will be plenty of time to get yourself a full pot Sideroca and all the event rewards. There's also a furniture set that's coming back, which is the 7 City Style Restaurant. It's one of my favorite furniture sets. It's very elegant and very good to use if, let's say, you customize your own dormitories. And there are also 3 skins that's coming back to us. There is Hoshiguma, Zima, and Gavial coming back. I've already gotten my Hoshiguma skin, and I'm in consideration to grab a Zima or a Gavial once again, because those 2 characters are some of those that I like very much as well. Now, because of this being a rerun event, the rewards that you're going to get is way lower than before, such that all the materials across the board are reduced tremendously. Even something like your LMD goes from 650,000 to 100,000. But that's just the nature of a rerun event. They are already stated to not have a lot of rewards, but still, farming all of them is a good refill for the account, whether or not you're an old player or a new player. If you've played DM before, then you're going to get more goodies from the Retrospection store, as there's a refill of more materials that you can grab from there. Despite the event store having reduced rewards, the drop rates of all the event stages are still the same, so there's a lot of good choices of materials that you can farm from DM, with the materials being Orion Cluster, Loxico, and Sugar Pack. You can get these materials when farming either DM6, DM7, and DM8. Should you be farming the event stages? Most certainly, this is one of the best events to get these 3 materials before this rerun closes once and for all. Alright, the event overview out of the way, let's talk about the operators that you can get from the banners. Now let's start off with Cutter, that is the 4-star. Cutter is a dual strike guard, such that her normal attacks will deal damage twice. She doesn't have an extremely high attack, but is decent enough to tear away low defense and mid-tier defense enemy, especially considering that she's attacking twice. The attacks that she has as a unit is Nuker and DPS, so it's sounding very similar to Chen for instance. However, her compared to the other dual strike guards like Tachanka, Bibig, and Chen, the utility of all of them are very different. Just because she's a 4-star doesn't make her way less worse than Chen for instance, because they have different users. It'll be more apparent when I talk about the skills in a short while. Her talent states that her normal attack has a percentage chance to recover SP. This is like a bonus trait to have. I'm not the sort who wants to bank on the probability of getting something, so it's kind of like if you see the additional SP popping up for her, that's like a good to have. It's just lucky for you that you got more SP for her. Now the bigger thing to talk about will be her skills. The first skill states that she immediately attacks random enemies within range 4 times with throwing knives, each knife dealing 280% of attack as physical damage. When you have her at M3, the SP requirement drops from 14 to 11, and the attack that she deals goes up from 280% to 340%. This first skill is very good when, let's say, you want to eliminate 1 or 2 particular enemies, maybe because they are running fast, or they could be a block 0 enemy, or that they have very high attack and you want to eliminate them as soon as possible. It's a very good burst skill to use, no less damage than Chen's skill 2 for instance, but it's still a big boost shot against the enemy. It is a pretty decent skill to build and also use. Now, Cutter's skill 2 states that she deals 380% physical damage to up to 6 nearby enemies, and the damage is doubled against aerial enemies. If let's say you have her at M3, the SP requirement drops from 15 to 12, and the damage increases from 380% to 450%. Now this skill is especially good for the second pointer that it states that it's very good against aerial enemies. One of the best places to showcase her is maps like East Armory, Abandoned High Rise, and the coming map that looks like West Armory. With a click of a skill, she's able to wipe out all the drones away from existence. The only downside is that in order to use it against the drones, she will have to attack the melee operators in order to charge her skill. Just like her skill 1, both her skills are offensive recovery, meaning she must attack to charge. If let's say you use her skill against melee operators, they themselves are also going to receive quite a fair bit of damage. All in all, it's great to see that both her skills are very usable, and I think a lot of people will rate her as a 4-star that's above average of all the other 4-stars. Very powerful and fun operator to have in your kit. So if you do own her, it's up to you to consider whether you want to build her to use her in your squad. Now we gotta mention about the welfare operator. The welfare operator is Sideroca, who is an arts guard. Sideroca's arts guard's traits are a little different from Astasia. She's survival DPS while Astasia is defense DPS. The difference here is that when Astasia have a skill up, she increases defense instead, while on the other hand, Sideroca will increase her health. With the role of being an arts guard, they're very good to tear away enemies with low resistance, and if let's say you want to block them at the same time. Estacia gains ASPD for every 20 seconds that she's on the battlefield, while Sideroca needs a flat amount of 5 enemies defeated in order to actually gain her ASPD. Now Sideroca's first skill sounds like a healing defender skill, whereby she heals herself by a certain percentage of her max HP. If you consider this to compare to like Cardigan, she heals herself by a much larger percentage than Cardigan. Her second skill is a damage booster, whereby her attack range will decrease, her attack will increase, and she will restore a percentage of her max HP per second. This skill is very good if let's say you're going to use Sideroca to tear down low resistance enemies fast, while at the same time maintaining her own health. There might be a debate as to which is the better art guard, like is Estacia better or is Sideroca better? But to me, I think they serve different roles. Like I said, one is a defense role and one is a survival role. If let's say you want someone who can hold the lane without any healers, Sideroca might be a better choice. If you want someone who have a high damage pierce and you don't mind just providing that healing for this particular person, then Estacia will be the better choice to go. But even so, I do feel bad for these two arts guard, because as we know, there's a particular 6-star arts guard that seem to have overridden them, which is Surtur for instance. More people use Surtur nowadays and they don't really think about Estacia or Sideroca anymore. While many people understand Surtur from her skill 3, but her skill 2 and skill 1 are very good as well and can be questionably better use cases compared to Sideroca and Estacia. But in a sense, if let's say you do like these characters, I don't see why not to build it. You can build Sideroca, our dear cowgirl, with the game. Now within this banner, there's a very good medic that's coming along as well, which is Ptilopsis. She has 2 particular tags that is healing and support, and I must highlight the support tag, whereby Ptilopsis has a skill that is so irreplaceable in the game and is such an essential quality of life improvement to a lot of accounts. Her talent states that all allies on the ground will gain a better SP regeneration per second, and that is an amazing skill to provide to the rest, and even her healing cannot be discounted as well, as her healing is pretty darn good. As an AoE healer, her first skill will boost up her attack without changing any of her ASPD, while her second skill will boost her ASPD, then the healing speed that she has will improve from rank to rank. If you've not gotten yourself a Ptilopsis yet, I do personally feel that this banner is the best time to grab your Ptilopsis. It's gonna take a long time for any new operator to replace the role that Ptilopsis actually plays. And speaking of irreplaceable roles, that goes to say the same for another 5-star on the banner, that is Shamare. Shamare plays a role of being a supporter debuffer herself. Her arts damage DPS isn't the highest, it's not an amazing damage per second at all, but her primary purpose isn't to damage anyone at all. She's meant to be there to bring a big quality of life improvement to the gameplay for all your other operators. Her talent states that enemies in range with less than 40% HP are inflicted with Fragile, such that they can take more damage. This talent doesn't stack with Praemonix, so if you have a Praemonix and you use her together with Shamare in the same stage, the percentage chance doesn't stack from like 30% to 60%. At E1, they'll only take 20% more damage, while at E2, they'll take 30% more damage. Now speaking of her skills, her first skill states that her attack will be increased while increasing the damage amplification effect of the unit talent by 1.5 times. If you have this skill at M3, then the attack goes up to 60% and the amplification effect is increased to 1.8 times. This skill is kind of less often used. There's very particular situations where you may find that this skill is much more viable than the second skill. This skill is more like a big damage booster for all of your squad, but understand that the effect only happens when the enemies have already less than 40% HP. So if let's say you use this skill, instead of taking 30% more damage, they'll be taking about 50% more damage this time around. It's a nice to have skill, but my favorite one definitely has to go with skill 2. Skill 2 allows her to place a curse door, but this is no ordinary curse door. Everyone within the range of the curse door will receive 30% less attack and defense. If you boost it up to M3, the SP requirement will drop from 38 to 30, and that's a huge drop in the SP cost. And at the same time, the attack and defense deduction value drops all the way to minus 50% instead, so halving the attack and defense of the enemies. This skill is an amazing skill. Alone it's great, with Ptilopsis even better, with Suzerain it's an epic skill to use. Ever since I've gotten a Shamare from the Phantom banner, she has brought so much ease in my account that I often take her to every single stage that I go just because of the boost that she helps to my operators such as Taunts, Silver Ash and Blaze. Allowing to halve the defense of the enemies will help a lot of your physical dealing operators. And at the same time, halving the attack also maintains the survivability of the operators. Imagine there's an Ice Cleaver that walks straight up to a frozen operator and you place a Shamare down. Their attack is going to be so reduced, frozen operators aren't going to be wiped away as easily. One of my favorite ways to showcase what Shamare can do is in 718 when battling against Patriot. It's not just a way to debuff him so that you can kill him faster, but at the same time, if you think about Patriot's second phase with that spear that comes down, a lot of range operators just get eliminated immediately. But with Shamare's door, if you have her at about M1 and you place the door down at Patriot, the spear is gonna destroy no one. It's actually gonna pierce your operators by half health, if not 3/4 health, and you can still heal them back to normal. And that's such a good skill to put into play. Most certainly, Shamare is one of my favorite operators in the game. And if people were to ask me, Cookie, should I be building for Shamare or should I be pulling for her? My say is yes, she is totally a must. She plays such a unique role that no other operators have yet to take her down. Now the final one of all is the 6-star of the banner, and this is Phantom. It's very nice to see a 6-star fast redeploy ever since he first released. Fast redeploys are very fun to use in the game. You can deploy them everywhere, retreat and drop, retreat and drop. It helps to add versatility to the strategies that you have. The tags that he have is fast redeploy, crowd control, and DPS, which is very true. We're gonna see his skills in a bit so that you understand why he has these tags. His attack is pretty damn high for a specialist and fast redeploy unit, and even his ASPD is pretty damn good as well. His talent allows him to summon a clone that shares the same abilities as himself, but with a slightly reduced attack and defense, and also a higher redeployment time. If you have him at E2, the redeployment time of the clone will be improved by 10 seconds. Now looking at his skills, his first skill states that upon deployment, he gains 40% physical dodge, and a shield that can absorb physical damage equal to 50% of his max HP for 10 seconds. This skill sounds very similar to Gravel, and indeed it feels that way, although I wouldn't say that Phantom replaces Gravel at all. The use case of these two are very different, and Gravel by the end of the day is more often the better choice because she increases her max HP by a jack load compared to Phantom, who is only absorbing damage and having a percentage chance to dodge damage. The good thing about Phantom here is that he doesn't have like this reduction in his HP or his ability as compared to Gravel, where every second her HP will decay lower and lower until her skill runs out. Still though, if I had to choose who's a better defensive fast redeploy, definitely Gravel would be better. But if let's say you've run into a situation where you feel that one Gravel is not enough, you want more defensive people, then you could bring both Gravel and Phantom into the stage using skill 1. But I don't often see people use Phantom for skill 1. Skill 2 is where the stuff is at. Skill 2 states that upon deployment, he'll immediately gain 9 charges of stacking a plus 16% attack buff. That means that if you have him at rank 7, his first attack will be plus 144% of his actual attack value. And for every stack that he attacks, it will drop down and down and down. So it's actually very high at the start, and then it goes down until the ability runs out. When you have him at entry, upon deployment, immediately gains 10 charges of a stacking plus 20% attack buff. So his first attack will be plus 200% of his attack value, and it will drop after that. So that means that if we look at my Phantom at E270 with M3, his first attack will be about 2000 attack, and that's a pretty sweet attack value to go against the enemies. What's very fun about Phantom is that you can use him to heli drop him at a certain enemy that you want to take out really quickly. Even if it's not big boy enemies, you can also use him against smaller ones and take them out. His attack value and ASPD being really high is pretty damn good to tear away small enemies as well. And the even bigger benefit is the fact that he has his clone, so he actually has 2 times the DPS that you are looking for. Just know that the downside of the clone is that it takes up deployment limit. It's not like a 0 deployment limit thing that you can just plonk around. He does also have one more skill being a 6-star, which his third skill reads that upon deployment, immediately deals 240% attack as physical damage to all nearby enemies, pushing them away slightly, and randomly inflicts one of the following statuses to all targets: slow, blind, or stun for 3 seconds. At M3 it goes up to 300% attack, and the amount of time he puts this status on the enemies is 4.5 seconds. This skill is not exactly a skill that's for general use. More often people build this skill if they want to do those like one player relays, or they have a good idea as to why they want to use the push or stun ability that Phantom has. If let's say you own a Phantom and you're thinking which skill to build, you're definitely supposed to build skill 2. Damage is pretty much king at the end of the day after all, whereas skill 3 is just a skill to hang out. If you really know why you want to use it, then you will build that skill. Overall, I feel that Phantom is like a nice to have in your account, but then again, it's not like a big must for you to own him. If let's say you don't have him, your project rate is still going to be a decent operator to use. J is also a pretty damn good fast redeploy to have around. In a sense, compared to Ptilopsis and Shamare, his role doesn't feel very irreplaceable, but definitely when you own him and build him, he's a super fun operator to use in your account. So, after speaking of the entire banner, would I say that you should be pulling for this one? My answer is yes. If let's say you don't have Ptilopsis or Shamare, I do feel that this banner is a pretty damn good one for you to have. If you're the sort that feels that your operators are charging their skills so slowly, Ptilopsis is going to be the savior in your account. Or if you're lacking on the AoE Medics class and you only have a Perfumer in your account up till now, such that you don't have a Breeze, Nightingale or Ptilopsis that's within your account. If let's say you've been using guards, snipers, specialists, and they're all physical dealing operators and you're like, why can't they kill every single enemy that comes their way? Then I'm gonna have to put that you should probably own a Shamare, because Shamare really adds a lot of flavor into all of your runs. Phantom on the other hand is like a bonus 6-star to own. Again, he's not super crucial. More often you pull him for the fun use that he has, and at the same time, he's a pretty damn good looking operator as well. I do hear a lot of people who will consider Phantom as one of their husbandos within this game. Overall, it's a pretty solid banner and I do like it a heckload. I hope my opinions that I share with you guys today will help you out in your decision making as to whether you want to put a little bit into the banner. Alright, hope you enjoyed the video. I shall see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.